Hey guys, and welcome to day 15 of Lent. And today we are looking at that they may be one. And this is from John chapter 17, verses 20 to 26. Sorry, just getting myself comfortable. I'm not praying simply for them. I'm praying too for the people who will come to believe in me because of their word. I am praying that they may all be one, just as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they too may be in us, so that the world may believe that you sent me. I have given them the glory which you have given to me, so that they may be one, just as we are one. I in them and you in me. Yes, they must be completely one, so that the world may know that you sent me, and that you loved them just as you loved me. Father, I want the ones you've given me to be with you where I am. I want them to see my glory, the glory which you've given me because you loved me before the foundation of the world. Righteous Father, even the world didn't know you, but I have known you, and these ones have known that you sent me. I made your name known to them, yes, and I will make it known, so that the love with which you loved me may be in them, and I in them. Imagine some great figures of the past. Shakespeare, perhaps George Washington, possibly Socrates. Think of someone you respect and admire. Now imagine that the historians have just found among old manuscripts a letter from the great man himself. And imagine that it was talking about you. How would you feel? This is how you should feel as you read verse 20. Jesus is talking about you and me. Those who believe in me through their word, that is, through the word of his followers announced the message around the world. Those who heard them passed it on, and on and on and on. The church is never more than one generation away from extinction. All it would take is for a single generation not to hand the word on. But it's never happened. People have always told other people. I'm writing this book and you are reading it as a result. It's awesome when you come to think about it. Excuse me. But what is Jesus praying for? As he thinks about you and me and all of his followers in this and every generation, he's praying that we may be, just as the old words say, one, holy, and universal, founded on the teaching of the followers, the apostles, the ones who were with him on that occasion. In particular, he longed that we should all be one, united. This unity isn't just a formal arrangement, it isn't just an outward thing. It is based on and must mirror nothing less than the unity between the Father and the Son. Just as the Father is in the Son, and the Son in the Father, so we too are to live within that unity. That can only mean that we ourselves are to be united, and in case we might miss the point, the result of this will be that the world will see and know that this kind of human community, united across all traditional barriers of race, custom, gender, or class, can only come from the action of the Creator God, so that the world may believe. Notice how this picks up what Jesus said in chapter 13, verse 35. This is how all people will know that you are my disciples. If you have love for each other, unity is vital. Often we sense it, heard like soft music through the partition walls we set up around ourselves. Sometimes we experience it when for a moment we meet Christians from a totally different background and discover that, despite our many differences and the traditions that keep us apart, we know a unity of love and devotion that cannot be broken. But just as often, alas, we experience, sense, and know that Jesus' prayer for us has not yet been fully answered. As in any human relationship, unity cannot be forced. There can be no bullying, no manipulation, but is in a divided world where the divisions have often run down so-called religious lines, there is no excuse for Christians not to work afresh in every generation towards the unity Jesus prayed for. If we are essentially one in faith, there can be no final reason why we may not be one, also in our own life and worship. In addition, Jesus returns to an earlier theme. His followers are to be with him, to see his glory. They are to know and experience the fact that the Father has exalted him to be sovereign of the world. They are to know that the love which the Creator God has given to him has installed him as the loving Lord of all. Many Christians today draw back from that statement. They suppose naturally enough that it will sound arrogant or as though they are giving themselves a special status by claiming this about Jesus. But this is so misunderstood. But this is to misunderstand the whole message of the gospel. When Jesus is exalted, the reason is nothing other than love. This is not the sort of sovereignty that enables people to think themselves better than others. It is the sort of sovereignty that commits them, as it committed Jesus, to a loving service. That's what the whole prayer comes down to in the end. It is about the love of the Father surrounding Jesus, and this same love as a bond and badge surrounding all of Jesus' people, making him present to them and through them to the world. And whereas in verse 11 Jesus addressed the Father as holy, now he addresses him as righteous. The Father is the judge of all of the earth through the world. Though the world rages against Jesus' followers, he will see that right will prevail. But as always in the New Testament, the justice for which we pray, the righteous judgment through which the Father expresses himself in this world, appears before us as love. This is because supremely it appears before us in the person of Jesus. This Jesus, the man who prayed for you and me, this high priest who set himself apart for the Father's glad service. So, for reflection today, how does it make you feel to know that Jesus prayed for his followers throughout history, including you? What does this reveal about the impact of the message passed down by Jesus' followers? Well, it just goes to show that he wasn't just there for the people, for his followers, for the disciples, for the Gentiles, the Jews, that he was physically able to be there for at that time. He had a purpose for coming at that point, and that was so that we might know him better and understand what God's love actually means, because people had got to a point where it had become very ritualistic and almost like a belief that you could gain, you could gain God's righteousness by doing these acts of worship, which actually acts of worship mean nothing without love. How does Jesus' sovereignty, rooted in love, challenge common notions of power and authority? In what ways can you emulate Jesus' example of loving service in your own life? I think it is just literally looking at the words that Jesus spoke, the words that he taught us, and to try and emulate him as much as possible, even though we know it's not possible to be perfect. That is the perfection, that is the example that we've been set, that we should strive for. And we should do it because we want to, and because we love God and we love Jesus. And we're not doing it because we're told to. We're doing it as a result and as a reflection of what's been done for us in gratitude. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely day. See you tomorrow.